Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Extraordinary Talk Show with your host, Della Hill. I'm glad to have all my extraordinary friends back with me today. I do have a well planned show for you today that I have put some effort into, like always. Today, we're going to talk about the problem with being positive. People always say, be positive, don't be negative, only be positive. The problem with that, well, there's a lot of problems with that. First of all, one of my teachers, his name is Nick Ortner. You might know him as the EFT tapping guy. He has some great information. I love tapping. I've used it on myself and on other people as well because it's super helpful. But one thing that he says is you can't clean the house unless you see the dirt first. If you don't recognize the dirt is there, you can't clean it up. And that's a big problem that a lot of us have because we hear this, don't be negative, only be positive. Don't be negative, only be positive. But guess what? Negativity exists. It's part of us. And if we don't recognize it, we can't change it. So what happens when people work so hard to be positive? And by doing that, in order to do that, they have to deny their negativity. They have to pretend it's not there. One of two things happens. One is when they're trying to be positive, and they're just kind of chucking the negativity behind them until it gets so big, it overwhelms them. And some of you have probably been there where you're have so much negativity going on around you in your life, the people around you, you try to ignore it. And just like any problem that you ignore, it shatters you. It comes back and it hits you over the head and will not be ignored. And then, surprise, surprise, when someone goes up to that person and says, oh, well, you just have to be positive. No wonder they don't believe it. The other thing that sometimes happens, and this happened to me, was I'm positive, and I'm a pretty positive person. I've been blessed to always be positive. It's something that I've worked on. It's something I put focus into, but it's also something that came easier for me than it does for some people. That doesn't mean you can't do it. But I got to the point where I just ignored everything negative. If the house wasn't clean, okay, I just didn't see it. You can ask my husband, that's true. In fact, he's the one who does the cleaning, 99% of it. If my tags were expired, I would just ignore it, pretend it wasn't like that, and hope that a cop wouldn't notice that it actually was like that. Here's the thing. You can't live like that. You can't constantly live ignoring all your problems. You can't and you shouldn't. In order to address any issue, you have to look at it. You cannot fix any problem without recognizing it first. If you just want to sweep everything under the rug, you can do that, but pretty soon your rug is going to look like a molehill because it's going to have so much dirt under it, and you're going to have a hard time walking on it. That's a metaphor, guys. If you sweep everything under the rug, pretty soon it's going to be hard to walk on that rug. That's your life. If you ignore all the negativity, you're going to wonder why you're not walking smoothly through everything. You have to acknowledge the negativity. When I say acknowledge, I don't mean give it power. I mean take the power from it. The negative thing is in your life. It's there. In order for you to have full control of your life, you have to acknowledge it. You have to deal with it. So for me, that might mean making sure that my car has a current tag, which it does, and making sure that your house is clean. It means evaluating. It means looking around and saying, what am I being negative about? What is negative in my life? Because you got to realize there's two things that can be the same. The negative things in your life, you don't necessarily have to have a negative perspective about, but you probably should address them. When those negative things in your life come inside of you, then they become negative thoughts, which become negative patterns, which become negative processes, which dig you into a negative hole. If you want to get out, there are ways you can do it, but just being positive isn't going to be the answer. You have to clean the house. You have to lift up the rug and sweep the dirt out from underneath it. Today, while you're here with me, I'm going to do 2 exercises with you that are going to help you learn how to do that. Because guess what? It can be scary. When the tags on my car expired, I might think about it, and I'm better than this now. Don't get me wrong, but it's still a process. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I might be sitting behind a microphone talking and giving all this advice. I'm still learning and growing too. Everything I say, I want you to take for yourself. Decide if it's good for you, if it's not good for you, and make your decision about that. But consider, at least consider. I'm not saying I'm always right. I'm not trying to tell you what to think, but I am encouraging you to think for yourself. So we're going to do 2 exercises that are going to help you learn a little bit how to begin handling that negativity and what to do when that negativity comes to you and you feel overwhelmed by it. Let's hope you can handle it before it gets to the point that it's overwhelming. Wouldn't that be nice? Let's start with looking at emotions in general. And emotions can be categorized in a lot of different ways. This is something that I have put a lot of thought into. But one way you can categorize emotions is every emotion fits into one of 4 slots, and sometimes these slots might go together. They are pleasant or unpleasant. I think you can all come up with a list of some pleasant emotions and a list of some negative or unpleasant emotions. Emotions are also calm or arousing. So you might have emotions where you feel at peace, where you feel quiet, and you're going to have other emotions that are very energetic, that bring out your emotion, that get you going. So you can have a pleasant, calm emotion like peace, joy. You can have a pleasant, arousing emotion like excitement. Joy can also fit into that. And that goes the other way too. You can have an unpleasant calm where you're quiet, but you're not happy. We've all been there. And you can have an unpleasant arousal. That might be something like anger, agitation, irritation. That makes sense, right? So, first of all, let's do our very, very first activity. And this is to help you gain an idea of kind of what's going on in your head and some of the feelings attached to what's going on in your head. So let's start here. You can close your eyes if you want to do this, but it's not necessary. You might want to make notes, at least mental notes, if not actual notes of the questions that I'm asking you. So first of all, imagine, and this might be easier to do if your eyes are closed, but don't do that if you're driving. Totally up to you. Imagine that you're walking through the woods. You're on a path, meandering peacefully through the woods. As you look around at the beautiful trees all around you, I want you to notice, are these trees close together or far apart? Observe them in your mind. This is visualization, which I talk about a lot. The more you can visualize, it's like working out your brain. The more you do it, the better. It really, really helps. Next, as you're walking through the woods, you've passed all the trees, not all the trees, but you've passed those trees. Next, you come up to a stream. I want you to look at this stream in your mind. Is this a big stream, a little stream, a deep stream, a fast stream? What characteristics does this stream of water have? What do you notice related to this stream? And how are you going to get across the stream? So let's say you figure that out. You're now on the other side of the stream. You're walking through the woods. You come across a clearing, and in the clearing there is a house. What kind of house is it? Is it big or little? What's it made out of? Does it look like a place you'd want to be? And how would you know if someone was in the house? There's many different options. If you wanted to find out who was in the house, what would you do? Again, just make a note of that. Continue walking through the woods. As you come around a corner, ahead of you, you see a bear. What's your reaction to the bear? Think about that one for a minute. You might even have more than one reaction as you initially see the bear. The bear moves on, you move on. As you're walking, you come to a wall across your path. Look at that wall. What is it made out of? How tall is it? How wide is it? And how are you going to get past it? Entirely up to you. This is your wall. Once you get on the other side, what do you see around you? What does the world look like there? Okay? Now that we're there, I want you to look back at the things that you made notes of, and I'm going to tell you what they mean. Some of them you're going to have to interpret for yourself. First of all, the trees that you were walking past represent your relationships with other people. If they were close, then that means that you might have close relationships with other people. If they were far away, your relationships might be more distant. You might have some medium trees, some that are close, some that are far. But that should be able to tell you a little bit something about your relationships. Maybe nothing you didn't already know. Next, as you come to the stream represents sex and intimacy. Not only that, but your approach to those things. How did you view it? Was it clear and peaceful? Was it a happy stream? Is it good fishing? One woman said it was so full of mud and rushing so fast I wouldn't even put my big toe in there. That might tell you something about that woman. What was your approach and how did you cross it? Because how you crossed it has something to do with your approach to sex and intimacy. If you walked across barefoot, that'll tell you something. If you found a way to get a rope swing and swing across it so you don't have to get wet, that might tell you something. Your interpretation's totally up to you. Next, as you were walking and you came to a house, what kind of house was it? This house represents how you see yourself. Did you see a mansion? Did you see a quaint cottage? Did you see a shack? Consider the amount of respect that you have for yourself. And just like everything else I'm talking about today, if you saw a shack and you're going, oh crap, I must think that I'm not worth much. You know what? Recognizing that is good news because now you know that, and I can help you address that here in a minute with our second exercise. The next question was, if someone was in the house, how would you find out if they're in the house? And this says something about your approachability, how you want people to approach you, how people do approach you. Did you shout? Did you knock? Was there smoke coming from the chimney so you already knew that they were home? That might tell you something about your approachability and also how you approach others. Is that a way you want to be approached? Is that the way that you want to portray yourself? Next, as you're walking along, and this one is a very, very important one, walking through the woods, you find that bear. Come around a corner and all of a sudden there's a bear in front of you. Now I want you to think about, first of all, how far was the bear away from you? The bear represents your fears. And this can be a pretty big deal. Did you scream and run away? Did you drop to the ground so it wouldn't see you? Did you go up and give the bear a hug? Because maybe since this was entirely in your own imagination, maybe it was a teddy bear. I didn't tell you what kind of bear it was. Maybe you go up and cuddle it. Maybe you see it's a polar bear and you say, that doesn't belong here, and it's gone. But remember how you felt when you first saw that bear, because I'm guessing that for 99% of you, your first reaction was to be scared. Moving on, when you get to that wall, look at what that wall is made of. Is it steel? Is it cement? Is it made out of yellow brick like the yellow brick road? These are your challenges. The wall represents the challenges, the things that are holding you back. And how you interpret them, how you picture it in your mind, might tell you something about yourself and how you view your challenges. Next, how do you get past the wall? I didn't say how big it was. Maybe you can walk around it. Maybe you climb over it. Maybe you realized that this is all entirely in your imagination. You have complete control over what happens. Maybe you put a door in it. Walk right through. Maybe if it was yellow brick and it looked like the yellow brick road, you pushed it over so you can walk on it. Change it from a wall to a road. That's pretty powerful. And maybe you just snapped your fingers and decided it was gone. But how did you approach it? And that might teach you something. Next, what you find on the other side of the wall represents your future after you face your fears and challenges and yourself. And yourself can sometimes be the hardest thing to face. Is it better? Is it beautiful? Is it worse? Does that look like a place that you would want to be? I think that if that isn't a place you would want to be, the way that you pictured it first, maybe we should go back and fix some of your approaches to your relationships, sex and intimacy, yourself, your fears, and your challenges. You can do this. Now, a lot of us are terrified of doing that because evaluating those things means that we have to look inside. And maybe we're not going to find what we find inside. So rather than address those things, maybe you've already turned off the radio and stopped listening to me. But it's by acknowledging those things that you can begin to work with them, that you can begin to process them, that you can begin to turn those negative things into positive things. I don't believe positivity is bad. I think positivity is wonderful. But I think deceiving yourself into only being positive when there clearly is negative things in your life, that is not a helpful thing. That is not helpful for you. It's not productive for you, and it's not going to help you grow and become better. So let's do another exercise. You could call this a meditation, or you could just call it an active visualization. What I'd like you to do, if you can and you want to, close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, imagine a beautiful pyramid of white light. It's beautiful. It sparkles and shimmers. And I want you to mentally place that white pyramid of light so that it completely surrounds your body, even the underneath side of your body. Through the top of this pyramid, light is shining directly down, soaking you, filling you up. And this pyramid is magic. You can make it as big or little as you want. It will always protect you. Now allow your consciousness, your thoughts, your mind, however you picture it in your head, with the pyramid around you, to float up, 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 as high as you need to go, until you find the place where you feel peaceful. The higher up you go, the more light pours into your pyramid and fills you up. When you get to the place where it feels right, allow yourself to stop there. Feel the peace, feel the light, and know that you're safe. And now, I'd like you to remember that bear. The bear that you saw in the woods coming around a corner that represents your fears. And as you think about that bear, feel in and around your body for any contractions, any expansions. Do you feel your muscles tightening? Do you feel your muscles expanding and relaxing? How do you feel when you see that bear? Does that fear come back to you? If not, think about something you're afraid of, or something that just drives you crazy. If bringing up the bear doesn't bring up anything that you might feel as negative, come up with something that you do feel is negative. Make it up in your head. I'm sure you probably don't have to. You probably have tons of things in your life that you can think of that are negative. And as you're thinking about that thing, be aware of your body. Feel the feelings that are in and around your body. I say in and around because your energy field is much, much bigger than just your body. And sometimes, even as a matter of protecting yourself, your mind might take a memory and place it in that energy field outside of your body so that it doesn't bug you as much. By not having it in your body, it might not bother you as much, which is great and helpful day to day, but detrimental long term because it's not helping you. And when it's outside of your body, you may not even realize it's there. So be aware of where you feel tightness, where you feel contraction, where you feel darkness. And then evaluate those things that are causing that. Think about what it is that's making you feel that way. And ask yourself and your higher self, what's it going to take to change this to a positive that makes me stronger? You may get an answer now, you may not. You most likely won't, but you've now asked the question and the answer will come. What would it take to turn this negative into a positive? What would I have to do to make this negative a positive? Now that you've asked that, put that question aside and feel those places that feel contracted, that feel tense, that feel uncomfortable, that feel unpleasant, like we talked about at the beginning. And when you're aware of where you feel that, I want you to bring in more and more light from your pyramid. Let that light shine deeply into you. And maybe you can even use your fingers to point to where in and around your body you feel that tightness and that stress. Send that light wherever you're pointing. Wherever in and around your body you sense that, point to it. You can use your hands even with your eyes closed. Point to that and send the light that is coming into your pyramid. Send it into those spots. Send it into those places. Feel love taking over those places. Feel those places. It doesn't mean that it's taking it away. And energy cannot disappear. It can only flow and change. But you can put light and love into those places and make it less negative. The more you do this, you can bring positivity. And you might even have different ways of doing it. You might find that place in and around your body, gather it up in your hands, imagine the light coming into it, and then chuck it into space. Doing this is very powerful. And you might say, well, how is that powerful? It's not cognitively helping anything. I haven't processed this emotion. I haven't resolved it. Continue to do that as long as you want. When you're ready, open your eyes again. That's okay. You looked at it, you evaluated it, and you asked for a solution for it. That's the beginning. That's the very first step you have to take. Now that you've asked, the answers will come. But I encourage you to do this all the time. You could do it several times a day. Or you could just do it when you notice you don't feel right, when you notice that you're angry or anxious or have an emotion that you don't understand. What we usually do is ignore it, blow it away, sweep it under the rug. What I want you to do is stop. Stop in that moment and feel what you're feeling. Then bring in light and let the light flood those spaces. Now, this might be difficult because you might have this happen to you when you're in the middle of an argument, say. And it's kind of hard to stop in the middle of an argument and close your eyes, put yourself in a pyramid, raise your consciousness up 300 feet, and feel around for emotions. I understand. But when you're in an argument, without doing that, you can notice that your body is contracted. You can notice that you feel stress, and you can speak that. In the middle of the argument, you can say, you know what? My heart is racing right now. I'm breathing really fast. I need to take a minute. And chances are the person you're arguing with is going to feel the exact same way. It might even help you come together on the issue. I encourage you to do this practice as much and as often as necessary to recognize what causes you to feel negative, what causes you to feel bad. I hope that this has been helpful for you. I hope that you can find negativity in your life in order to change it to positivity. Because being positive really is very powerful, but it's not powerful if it's only fake. Thanks for joining me, guys. This is Della with the Extraordinary Talk Show.